Hi, Mark. I'm here, Lori Karpenos with Mark Howard. And the purpose of this webinar is to interview Mark. Mark is a psychologist in California, Northern California. He's been working with clients for many years. He'll tell you his history. And I've known Mark for many years. We met through the Three Principles conferences. We um, run into one another at annual conferences. And Mark graciously agreed to be interviewed for a book that I'm writing with Chris Heath called The Secret of Love, Unlock the Mystery, Unleash the Magic. And so I wanted to hear from Mark about how his own relationship changed after he gained an understanding of the principles. He's been in a long-term marriage, and also the difference for his clients, how they have changed. Okay, Mark.
Hi, Lori.
So what do you think about that, Mark? What do you think
Well, I
about?
think that's wonderful. Yeah, I've actually been in practice almost 35 years, and my practice has solely been Three Principles practice for 33 years. So um, I have had some time there with this understanding we're going to be talking about. You know, I just have seen just wonderful changes in relationships, particularly in, I'll just say a bit about my clients and then share a bit of my understanding and how it really deepened the love in my marriage. But basically, the clients I see come to me thinking their love in the relationship has left, and they've got all these difficulties they're telling me about, and also critical uh, descriptions of their partner. But once they realize the understanding of the principles I'll talk more about, that the way they see one another changes, and they find their love again, which I think is always there. So that's really the foundation for my work with my clients. What helped me really a great deal in my marriage was a really good marriage. My wife and I were very loving right from the beginning, but I would be pretty righteous. You know, I grew up learning that, learning to be a man, thinking that my way's the right way. So I would debate a lot and argue a lot, not only in my relationship, but also with colleagues and so forth. And then being introduced to Sydney Banks and listening to my first seminar and attending his seminar, I really saw through an insight, actually, that the feelings I was having, the way I was looking at people, was really being created through me, through this beautiful gift we're given of thought, the ability to create a reality that we live in moment to moment. And once I saw that, I started looking at my relationship to people in a completely different light. Of course, it took time for really learning that, and I continue to evolve my understanding of that. But it really helped me bring understanding into the relationship deeper than I had ever experienced it before. And it helped me see that everybody's got a way. Everybody has their own way that they're using this beautiful gift of thought to create the ways they are in relationship to each other. And it's not a personal thing. It's just how people have learned to think about living in life. And once I understood that, I gave up being so right. It didn't matter anymore because I was just like everybody else, just creating a way to be on any life issue, like everybody else. And it was going to be different than other people, including my wife's way. And it really deepened my appreciation of her and my being able to listen to her and try to understand where she was coming from. Those all sound like techniques, but they grew out of a deep realization of the nature of thought. And it really helped that regard, because you know what? I don't know if that saying still holds true, but everybody talks about relationships go well if you're compatible. But if you really looked at relationships, nobody's compatible. You look at anything in a relationship through a day that comes up, people have different ways of thinking about it, given the fact that they're creating their ways through thought. So, for example, just look at breakfast, just look at the morning time. So two people get up, and one person wants tea, another person wants coffee. If both people want coffee, one people wants fresh French dripped coffee, whatever that is, and another wants it in the pot. And then look at breakfast. Somebody wants eggs, somebody wants oatmeal, somebody wants just a piece of toast. So compatibility looks like compatibility when couples use an understanding and grow closer. And what's really happening is they're not taking their differences personally. Or if they take it personally, get a little bothered, they get over it like real quickly. You know, we learn as couples to get over things. And that, you know, so if my wife and I have an argument or so, we get over it real quickly. And then it doesn't last, you know. It isn't like something we think about and hold on to as a grudge or a resentment. It's just gone. And that's really the outgrowth of living with this understanding that the reality we're in, how we see other people, really coming through us through this beautiful gift of thought. So I gave up a lot of the thinking that got me into annoyance with people, taking offense with people. And that just deepened not only my marriage, but my relationship to my colleagues. What do you think,
It's
Lori?
really
What do you think?
beautiful. It's really, yeah, it's wonderful. I'm, you know, it's so nice to be reminded of such a simple understanding
Yes.
has such profound impact for people when they start to see. And like you said, it's an evolving process. The minute you start to see a positive result in your life, at least that's been my experience and my clients, as soon as somebody sees that, gee, when I realize that my experience of my partner or of anything is coming from me, not from my partner, it really calms people down. I think and it helps clear people's minds so that they can drop into a beautiful, loving feeling again, minus all the complaints we can get in our heads and all the those awful thinking that we can do about ourselves and our partner, not just our partner, but
Yeah.
ourselves. And we get so caught up in thought. But yeah, so I'd love to hear more about that and the difference that you've seen with your clients through all your years of practice.
Well, you know, again, I think people can say, "Oh, yeah, um, I'm thinking, and I'm thinking in a way that's negative toward my partner." Um, People can recognize that intellectually, but I am talking about really seeing that as truth. And there's a difference when you see it as truth, that that's all that's going on in the way you're reacting to your partner, is that reaction's being created through you, through this power of thought. Once you really see that as a truth, you change. I mean, you change immediately. You're a different person. And then that evolves, you know. It isn't like the next day I was this, you know, great guy, you know. You know, it evolves, but it's led a seed. It's planted a seed that just starts to grow, and you start continuing to remember that that's really what's going on, and that your experience of this other person, where it's really coming from. So you need to see it as a truth, and that's where being able to look at seminars and workshops on the principles and meeting with a therapist or life coach on the principles is helpful. But again, looking at the foundation, that the love we feel toward our partner, we're talking about love relationships now, never really leaves, because the deeper truth of us, our spiritual essence, is love, pure love, not love because you just have a nice day, or love because this person's in your life, although you can enjoy that. This love is kind of unconditional or formless. It's just the pure energy we are, these deep feelings of love. And they get manifested through us like generosity or gratitude, and so forth. So given that, what I've come to see with clients, couples that I see that come to me for help, is that the only thing in the way of that manifesting and continuing to be a part of their relationship is really the habits of thought they've gotten into with one another. So, some common ones are people kind of find fault with each other. They get into thinking that they will feel better if only their partner fixed this about themselves, or they get critical about the way a person, their partner's acting, or they start to have opinions about their way. So all these ways and beliefs that we form growing up in our culture, in the consciousness of the world like this, get in the way. And we don't know that. We just don't see that, because again, thought works in the way that whatever thinking we're in looks like it's true. So it really does look like I'm getting bad feelings because my partner won't stop doing this, or needs to get better at this, or continues to nag me, or things like that, or never wants to go see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. So I'm making a little fun of that, but it can be very serious about that with people. But again, once people recognize this is going on at a true level, not just intellectually, actually a lot of those issues that used to look so important to correct before they can feel their love again go by the wayside. Doesn't matter as much anymore. So I've had couples that recognize this, and they'll come back in a session and just say that in the session, apologize to their partner for being the way they were. And they have found this understanding, and they let go a lot of the things they were demanding of their partner. And so all of a sudden they get these beautiful feelings of tenderness, of seeing how to get closer with each other and have understanding for each other. Also, if there are some issues that need to be discussed, they are now in a better state of mind to really work together cooperatively, and solve some things that they couldn't really get to because of all the negativity that was in the relationship. So I just last week, really, I had this couple that would get angry with one another and hold on to it for 2 weeks. They wouldn't talk to one another. They'd be steaming for 2 weeks. Just last week, they came in and they were thrilled when they sat down, and they said, "Oh man, we just were able to really use what we were learning here." I said, "Well, tell me about it." And what happened over the weekend was they were doing dishes together, and they got in an argument. They went to separate rooms in the house. But about in 15 minutes, they remembered what they had been learning about how that bother and annoyance and so forth were just being created through their own thinking. Then when they remembered that, in came the feelings of the beautiful feelings they've been having with one another. They saw that, the way out of that was to just drop it and go back and apologize. All of that just came to them in a matter of a few seconds of remembering what they were learning about the principles. So they went back and apologized to one another, and they got their feelings back. So they were telling me, this argument that we got into that used to last for 2 weeks now just lasted 15 minutes. And they were thrilled that that can happen. So that's just an example of many, many stories I've seen through the 33 years of my practice with couples in which they've been able to really deepen the love and understanding and find a truth about how we function psychologically that allows them to self-correct and to correct the relationship when it goes off track. And usually they recover this understanding within a matter of minutes. It doesn't last more than half a day at the most, That's very promising, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so much easier to change your mind when you've seen what that does for yourself and your relationship. It makes it a lot easier for future problems to dissolve because you can see how malleable your mind really is, that it's easy to just drop things that aren't getting you anywhere, that aren't at all productive. Yeah, that was a beautiful story. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love, it's so great that we get to do this work and see couples transform in front of us, really.
Well, yeah, once I might introduce some of my understanding of these principles, to a couple in a session, and they get it. Once you get this, you drop into that feeling we're talking about. You can't help it because it clears the channel, so to speak. It clears that clogged channel of my way's the right way. And the minute you catch on to, that's just a belief you have. And it just drops away and the channel's cleared and you get a nice feeling. It happens in the session when a couple might catch on to my teaching this. And then what you see are acts of tenderness, like they'll hold each other's hand, or they'll apologize in the session, or they'll support one another in the session. They'll be generous in the session. So, and when that starts to happen for couples who have not really visited that for years, really in their lives, I begin to point out that's the feeling they're looking for, and help them try to nurture that feeling as it emerges. Because again, Laurie, what you were saying there, we don't know we can change our minds because we think the way we're thinking about our partner's right. We hold our ground and we tell our friends, and we tell everybody, oh man, you should see what my partner did to me this week, something like that. But once this understanding has helped you see that's just the way you think, you just learn to think that way. There's no right about it. Like you were saying, Laurie, that clears the channels of the mind. And then you start to see you can change your mind. Not only that, but what really filled me with hope was not only could I change my mind, but there was like this limitless supply of understanding and love that I just started to find the tip of the iceberg for. So it goes way beyond just the capacity to change our minds to what we've got going for us, that we can see more and more. And as that has entered my marriage with my wife, we just get closer and closer, and, people's insecurities with each other quiet down when they hear understanding from their partner. And so then they can share more of themselves, and you see more of these beautiful parts of people you hadn't noticed before, and you just get closer and closer. So it's like limitless process that's available to us, this wellspring of endless love, so to speak. There's a song out, Endless Love. I forgot who sings this, but it's really true. I forgot who sings that song. It just came to me, Endless Love. But it is true. There's this endless supply of seeing your partner in deeper, loving ways with more understanding.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, so before we end this session, anything else you want to say? I want to make sure that you give listeners contact information, how to get in touch with you. I know that you're involved in several projects, one of which you're doing with me, which is wonderful. You know, I was realizing that it's great we're doing this course for people who are just dating, because then, you know, I think back, if I had known about this way back when, things would have been very different in my marriage. And so I think it's great that we're now able to teach people who are beginning to get into relationships so that they don't have to fall into all of the pitfalls that most couples wind up finding.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I thought this was a wonderful opportunity to share with everyone, um, you know, glimpses of this understanding and how it works out in relationship. But I am doing several projects, one with you, which you just shared beautifully about. I can't wait for us to get started in April. And then I'm going to be doing a retreat and a 3 principles training in Hawaii with my colleague, Chris Heath. So I will be sending all of that out. So there's some ways people can contact me if they're interested. One is through email, and email is Dr., the abbreviation DR, and my name, Mark Howard, M-A-R-K Howard, Howard, at Comcast.net. You can go to my website that'll have announcements of this, and that's 3principlesinstitute.org.
The 3 is spelled out, right?
Yeah, the 3 is spelled out, 3principlesinstitute.org. And my Facebook page is 3 Principles Institute on Facebook. And I'll be sending links to the wonderful course Lori and I have come up with. And we just started to do a couple of free webinars together, and our ways of sharing this understanding just flowed so well together. We thought we would put on this 4-class course. Mm-hmm. So looking forward to anybody who is seeing this to contact me if you're interested in any more information.
I'm so looking forward to that. That's going to be so much fun. I've already gotten feedback from the 2 webinars we've done that people are now going on dates with a lot less insecurity, and so that's really nice to get that feedback on the Facebook group, which is called Conscious Dating Community. So be great for people to join that who are in that mode, the beginning mode of relationships. So thank you so much, Mark. And I would love to come to Hawaii to your retreat that you're doing with Chris, but won't be able to make that. I think that's next October, isn't it?
That's right. It's in October of this year, and we'll be sending out information throughout the course of the several months ahead.
Yeah, I already saw something for it with the waterfall. That's a beautiful,
beautiful announcement.
Yeah. What a great thing for couples to do, to take a vacation in Hawaii and start it out with your retreat.
That was our idea, a quiet mind, a relaxed mind is really ripe for insights and the wisdom of these principles to come through. So that was part of our reason for having it in Hawaii.
Great idea.
Well, thank you, Lori.
And thank you, Mark. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Lori. Bye.
Bye-bye.